Imagine none of these have been working. Alright. Raj, because we haven't checked any of them, right? Raj cycles around the course. The course starts at E, passes through F, G, and H, and finishes at E again. The distance EH and GH are equal. Cool. And there's a right angle there, so we know that's a right angle triangle.
Yeah.
Alright. What is the length of EF? What is the length of EF to the nearest kilometer? EF to the nearest kilometer. Okay, we're just trying to find this. So we'll label that as X. That's usually the way I would do it, right? We're trying to work out EF. Well, you know if you were looking at this triangle, well, EF's not even attached to that. So there's no way you're going to even be looking at this triangle here. True?
Yeah.
You've got to be looking at this triangle there. So is it a right angle triangle though? Is EFG, so this triangle here. Okay, so it's not a right angle triangle. That's when in your formula sheet you have two other formulas. You've got one called the sine rule and the other one called the
cosine rule.
Cosine rule, exactly. So we've got one called the sine rule, one called the cosine rule. Now, in this case, because we've got X here, we can work out its angle here. Or obviously, how? That's 139, that's 31. We can add them up and take away from 180, angle sum of a triangle. We can work out this one here. And then we could use sine rule with really anything, right? Any of these, sine rule. Or we could have even used cosine rule, to be honest with you. So it actually doesn't matter as long as you're going to work out this angle either way. Cool? So the easier one is sine rule. So I am going to do sine rule. But before anything, we have to work out this angle in here, right? How do I do that? As I said, you add up 139 and 31. So 139 plus 31 is 170 degrees. Then we're going to do 180 because angle sum of a triangle. Take away 170, which gives us 10 degrees in there. Cool. That gives us 10 degrees in there. Any questions about that yet? Alright, then we're going to use the sine rule like I said. And the sine rule says A over sine A. So we're going to go here, we're going to go X over sine. And it must be exactly that side's opposite angle. Which is obviously?
The opposite?
Yeah, which is what? What angle? Sine 10 degrees. Okay, opposite the X right there is 10. Equals, pick a side. You can pick anything. 64 or 82?
64.
Alright, we'll pick 64 over sine, and then its angle. What should be its angle now? Opposite angle, which one should it be? You either got a 50-50% chance. Is that 139 or is it 31?
31.
It's 31, opposite, right?
Yeah.
Opposite 82, its opposite adjacent side is 139. Opposite angle, sorry, is 139. Okay, so 64, 31. Oops, again I did that. I have to do it in a re-exam. It's going to be my trademark. Okay, where was I? So sine of 31. I know what I'm doing. I'm pressing this. That's fine. All right, sine of 31. Now, I want to make X a subject. I need to get rid of this division of sine 10. How do I get rid of that?
You divide.
But it's been divided already.
Oh, then you multiply.
I multiply. So X is equal to 64 sine 10 degrees. That's multiplied already over sine 31. Right? There's a times right there. So if you're thinking, where's my times? It's right there. So I've already moved it. Okay? I times by sine 10. These cancel out. Right? And then you times by sine 10 there. And that's how it looks like eventually. See? 64 sine 10, 64 sine 10 over sine 31. Cool?
Yeah.
64 sine 10 divided by sine 31. And as you can see, the question says to the nearest kilometer though. This answer in your calculator looks like this. Something like that, blah, blah, blah. And then to the nearest kilometer, that means to no decimal places pretty much in this case. 0.5, does it take my 1 up or does it leave it the same?
No, it goes up.
It goes up to
22.
kilometers. Done. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Double I. Might as well listen first. What is the total distance that Raj cycles to nearest kilometer? So the total distance he travels, well, he'll travel EF, FG, GH, EH. Right? That's what he said. That's what the question said. He rides around the course, and that's what he does. Cool?
Yeah.
So then that's going to be EF. So let me write it exactly what we're going to find. EF, which we already found, plus FG, which is already there. Right?
Yeah.
FG, plus GH, plus HE.
Yeah.
EF is 22. FG, EF is 22, right? FG is 64. So the only ones I need is GH and HG. The good thing is that GH and HD are exactly the same, because that's what the question said, right? The distances EH and GH are equal. Okay, now you got to think of how I'm going to work out these. Well, I know it's a right angle triangle here,
Yeah.
and I know I've got 82, so now let's label this as Y and Y to make sure they're different, right? If it's a right angle triangle, obviously to work out these sides, I don't have these angles. I'm going to be using Pythagoras' theorem. The way I'm going to use Pythagoras' theorem, if you remember, it's c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, right? A squared is y squared plus b squared. Again, that's y squared. And then what's c squared? The hypotenuse. So 82 all squared. Cool?
Yeah.
Y squared plus y squared. Chocolate plus chocolate gives you how many chocolates?
4.
A chocolate plus chocolate.
Oh,
2 chocolates. So y squared plus y squared is 2y squares. That's it. That's how you got to look at them. You don't get confused with the 2's on top of here.
No.
Okay?
Yeah.
2y squared. That is 82 squared. What's 82 squared? 6,724. Okay? And then what do I get rid of first? This squared or this 2?
This squared.
No,
Oh, the 2.
the 2. Okay, you got to get rid of the 2 first. So you'll divide by 2. That gives you, let's go up here. Let's go up here. So that gives you 3362 is equal to y squared. How do I do that? I just divide it by 2. Divided by 2. Cool?
Yeah.
And I get 3362 y squared. And now I square root. So what's the opposite of squared? Square root. Right? The opposite of square is square root. So I square root both sides. I square root this side. That gives me y is equal to 57.98, which I can round up to essentially 58. Right?
Yeah.
That's y. As I said, that's also y. So then your answer for double I is...
58.
No, wait. We said EF plus FG plus GH plus HE.
Yeah.
All the way around, yeah? That's 22 plus 64 plus 58 plus 58. Yeah?
Yeah.
22 because of EF, 64 because of FG, and then GH and HE are the same, which is what we just found. They're 58. So your answer is 202 kilometers.